LSU, Tiger TV, and LSU Student Media are not responsible for the thoughts and opinions expressed on this show. The content is produced solely by the show's slightly deranged creator, writer, and host, Ryan Banowitz. Enjoy! Welcome back to another episode of The Update. Daddy got a new shirt. I hope you enjoyed your spring break of debauchery, because now it's time to get back in the zone. This week, America's going green, a man's selling weasels on steroids, and Micah Bedard comes by to tie a bow on the NCAA tournament. Stop wearing Bluetooth at the mall. We all know you're not that important. Put aside your pride and your Bluetooth. It's time to update yourself.
Yeah, person that a kid just to be grown up. Yeah, whoever thought I'd be the greatest growing up. Yeah, whoever thought I'd be the greatest grow.
Wow, audience, you look a lot more tan. Glad to see we all survived spring break, except if you didn't make it back from Gulf Shores. Lost a lot of good men out there. Literally, we just lost them for a while. But they showed back up with a hotel umbrella and a broken boogie board. Spring break, right? Actually, none of that happened. I went home to see my mommy because I refused a vacation in Alabama. Ready for some news? Good. Me too. My good friends at the Pew Research Center released another study over the break, revealing some not-so-surprising data about Americans. For the first time in 4 decades, more than half the population support legalizing marijuana. Old people are all like, what? And young people are all like, what? The poll indicated people are tiring of the war on drugs and the millions of dollars in enforcement and imprisonment spent on minor drug offenders. But the most surprising part, conservatives like Bible man Pat Robertson are supporting more than just the burning bush for once. One Harvard professor said this study's findings are more generational than a real indicator of public opinion swing. Simply put, we don't care as much about weed. It's weed. I'm not saying everybody in my generation has puffed the magic dragon. I'm just saying the dangers of marijuana are harder to sell when you've actually seen a stoner in action. I got friends that smoke pot, and let me tell you, they are a real terror to my pantry. Honestly, they're more of a danger to themselves. One of my friends got so baked at a concert that he got trapped in a porta potty for 15 minutes. Trapped. 15 minutes in a porta potty, fearing for your life. I think that's punishment enough for that crime. That and the cottonmouth. You can't just crack an egg on a frying pan and tell us it's our brain on drugs anymore. My generation's probably stoned and find those eggs delicious. Now they have to go to the store and buy eggs, and you created inebriated drivers. The blood and the Cheeto crumbs are on your hands, Ad Council. Whoa, when's the last time you ever looked at your hands? All right, my main point is, this is inevitable. We're all turning into hippies, and I, for one, can embrace it. I gave advice to the Republicans. Now it's time for a nice pep talk from way on the left. Hold on, let me shift gears. I gotta get in my persona. Ow! All right, guys. All right, I'm glad to see that we can all slow down the war machine for a second to have a little tokey-toke on the truth pipe, you know? I felt this coming in my aura, bros. All last week, my organic carrots were growing crazy fast, and I was like, good thing coming, bro. I'm not just talking about the delicious pesticide-free carrots. Right, but not all you suit-wearing Fortune 500 hell-yeah, oh, super bogus, man. I'm wearing a suit, and my hair feels really weird. But hair's a weird thing anyway, right? Like, why is it there? You know, I don't need a head shrubbery. What was I talking about? Radiohead's tour listing came out? Oh, yeah, that's right, government and stuff, man, righteous. All right, look, guys, weed is just the first step. I'm thinking big picture, like, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio's paintings and stuff. You know, I was an art major for like a semester. I know my shiz. I got some sweet plans, guys. You know, first off, looking at you, military, with all your guns and your short haircuts and your muscles and stuff. Who are you trying to scare, man? My mom always said honey works better than vinegar, which I agree with because, you know, vinegar is the one thing that still tastes terrible stoned. I think we need to drop the weapons and pick up the hookah in the Middle East, man. You know, share some hummus, play them some Fish albums, tell them you think their beards are groovy, and, you know, it'll all end up just laughing it off. Another alternative, though, dinosaurs. You know, who needs drones and you could have pterodactyls patrolling the skies like, ah! Oh, dude, what was that? Sounded like Nancy Grace. All right, seriously, though, man. I love the movie Land Before Time. Bring those dudes back. Looking at you, scientists. Well, actually, no, that was just all I wanted. Just dinosaurs. Dinosaurs and legal pop pro, or, you know, mix of both, like potodactyl. Yeah, no, I'll work on that one. But speaking of things I worked on, you know, I'll end this advice session with something special I wrote for this. And you guys can't make fun of me, man. I worked on this really hard. One nation, two parties. Who's throwing the party? Can I bring my pita chips? Stop. What's the problem? Listen. You know, don't listen to me. Listen. It's coming from the earth. Mother Nature screams for her child, and her child wants the green. So I want you to know that, trees, that we care. Stop the madness, stop the cries, light the matches, ask me why. Why, America? Why? That was called I Found a Peeled Hard-Boiled Egg on the Floor in Walmart. I prefer alternative titles. Come back after the break for a March Micah Madness wrap-up, and we might talk about a certain rice that finds himself in boiling water. Come back or I'll hit you with a basketball and call you names. Congrats, Louisville. Check the tie. Mike was here to start the tournament. Now he's back to give us some final perspective. All right, first off, I know we could disagree on this because I think the one shining moment is the worst part of that whole thing.
It's the best part. I mean, how can you go against Luther? Luther ending the tournament, there's nothing better. I still haven't forgiven Jennifer Hudson for ruining it in 2010.
I just don't understand how a song by Luther Vandross can appeal to so many white people all at once. Every white person just lights up when one shining moment comes on. But speaking of the moments, more inspirational story, what do you think? The team playing for Kevin Ware and his broken leg, or Hancock coming off the bench and going off for his dying dad?
I mean, the Kevin Ware thing, of course it blew up because everyone on national TV saw a shin bone popping out.
It was gruesome.
And I still won't watch that. But the Luke Hancock story was kind of hidden, and I think, it was good that he kind of, didn't tell his players what was totally going on, and his dad didn't make the trip for any games except the Final Four. I think that was a really good story there, too. Kevin Ware, if you played the Kevin Ware drinking game on the national championship, they barely showed him, so I think Luke.
Except at the end, it got sloppy. You had to watch yourself with the net cutting part. Honestly, my favorite storyline: Peyton Siva's dad's airbrushed shirt. And that thing was awesome.
It wasn't a shirt though; it was a tank.
It was a tank, sleeveless.
It was a cut-in tank.
Big.
Yeah.
You got to look up the picture.
Or don't.
Next is Spike Albright had a nice game. He sent a tweet at Kate Upton asking for a date. How awesome is that? You think it's going to work?
That's the ultimate heat check. He barely missed it, hadn't missed a shot in the tournament. Why not try out there? He saw her in the crowd. Maybe he didn't, but he just heard Kate Upton was there. Pfft, love it. Milk it for all it's got, kid. Who knows if he ever plays that good again?
I mean, you got to shoot big, man. What if she says yes? I mean, you expect her to say no.
Yeah.
I mean, Spike's he's a little cutie, man.
His name's Spike.
Spike, where do you get that, man?
Little Giants?
True. Next is Patino promised to get tatted up for the team. What do you think? What do you think he should get? I'm thinking like full sleeve Siva style.
I mean, I kind of like that too. Maybe you can get a matching Siva necklace tattoo.
The necklace tat?
Just so you can see that. I mean, put whatever you want on there. I think his son Richard can give him a little advice on that.
I think he could go teardrop too, because he is straight thug style. All right, but he might be a gangster, but ex-Rutgers coach Mike Rice was he was a monster. He wasn't your favorite, was he, Micah?
I mean, he's just not my favorite. I mean, if you're a Rutgers parent or you're anything like that, I mean, he's that too. Just ridiculous. You can't get away with calling kids fairies and throwing balls at their head. I think the assistant coach, Martelli, might have done it worse. If you've seen some of those tapes, it's pretty bad stuff. Surprised he wasn't fired mid-season.
No, if you're sitting there and you see a guy chucking basketballs at somebody and smacking kids, you got to report that.
I mean, they gave him a 3-game suspension, $50,000 fine. You're not going to do that to him. I mean, you're not going to get anything else from that. I mean, I don't know why they didn't fire him then.
All right, and just small note for the day. You got faked out a little bit today. You thought J.O.B. was leaving, but he's coming back. That's awesome.
They had a table for his parents, and they had career stats, and he didn't go. It was really surprising to me. But, hey, LSU, top 25 next year.
Really? Top 25?
Easy. Best recruiting class coming in a while.
And this is my favorite question. Who do you think might be better, women's basketball, men's basketball?
Oh, men's will be better next year.
Ooh, that's good stuff. All right, guys, but come back after the break, and don't forget, always fear the quack attack. And this week's takeaway involves somebody selling adorable poodles with a surprise. Beautiful Baton Rouge. Thanks for sticking out another episode with me. Give me some feedback on the Facebook page or hit me up on Twitter if you like the show. Who knows, I might bring that damn stinky hippie back if he can sober up and stop talking about dinosaurs. Nah, who am I kidding? I always wanted a velociraptor. Yeah! Jurassic Park 3D, am I right? Nice cameo, Chris Bosch. I'm going to admit, this week's takeaway is a little absurd, which is why I love it. Sometimes you stumble across a story that makes you really think. This isn't one of those stories. This is stupid. So stupid that I love it. A pet vendor in Argentina is catching heat for selling imposter poodles at his store. When I say imposter, I'm not talking about giving a Maltese a perm or even gluing cotton balls on a dachshund. This innovative pet salesman thought outside the box to create his poodles for sale. Who needs dogs when you can just inject a bunch of ferrets and weasels with steroids? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about this week. Steroid-ridden weasels being passed off as poodles in the streets of Buenos Aires. And people actually believe them. right, first off, just look at these things, okay? The one on the left is clearly a poodle, and the one on the right looks like the brain from Pinky and the Brain, which was a great show. Honestly, that thing looks evil enough to actually take over the world. Don't you think at some point you'd figured out you don't have an adorable puppy on your hands? Maybe you should notice when your puppy is curling up around your neck like a slinky and omitting a certain non-agreeable odor while not barking once. Dude, ferrets and weasels stink. If you've ever known anybody weird enough to own ferrets, you know there are ferrets at home as soon as you pass the threshold. Overpowering and pungent is how I would phrase that. Like, way worse than dog breath. You know, maybe you can notice that your dog can compress his body and slip in between small cracks. Or maybe you noticed that you were so stupid that you bought a roided up weasel instead of some puppies. If I were the guy who bought them, I wouldn't be mad at the vendor for creating a new species of super weasel. I'd be worrying about the future of my kids because I was stupid enough to think those were dogs, and now they have my genes. Only one solution: give them steroids and try to pass them off as poodles. Maybe a rich white woman in the valley will pick them up. They like their dogs more than their children anyway, so you might be able to sneak them in for a while if they fit in a purse and match your boots. Didn't see that coming, did you? You know, I always got to keep you on your toes, audience. I wouldn't want you going out buying ferrets or something idiotic like that. Until next week, spay or neuter your cats, feed your weasels, and remember to update yourself.